Hi, I hope you are doing well. Today I'm going to discuss the topic of writing and apply linguistics. I will discuss aspects of writing, the elements, the approaches, the procedures, and the last one, which are the issues. So let's start with the aspects. All of us as a human beings, okay, we know the importance of writing in our life. That's right? Yeah, of course, right. Writing plays an important role in our daily life. It's easy for communicating between each other, especially now when because of the past circumstances and because of the coronavirus. The easiest way is to connect throughout technology by writing and by chatting with each other. So, so it's writing. It has a special importance. Of course, yes, it has the most important aim. It has the most important purposes. Before the half of 20th century, most of the scholars at that time, writers, professors, who are specialists in writing certain things, in different disciplines, were embedded. Okay, at that time, were depending. Uh, other writing because we know that writing it's more prominent than speech. Whenever someone wants to check something, he can or he gets back okay many times to check, but spoken we've already forgotten actually what we just said. Writing is more prominent than speech. So what are the elements of writing? Actually, the elements that are very important, every context needs or requires these elements: writer, reader, text, and reality. Writer actually uh who is going to write the context, reader who is going to write who are going to read his context, text, the itself reality, the overview of reality, how can it reflect his identity or other issues throughout context from the reality. So here we start with the aspects of writing. The aspects, it refers one of them to the rational aspects or relational, sorry, aspects of writing. Relational aspects of writing that includes writing involves the consideration of the relationship among the elements or tools of writing, while while strategic aspects of writing, the use of the various of different procedures maybe and the methods in order to communicate our views, our opinions and ideas, while the last one, textual aspects, it's from its name, it requires a text in order to depend on, in order to reflect our identity, our other issues that uh we want to focus on. So here, uh, these are the aspects of writing. If we want to go to the purpose of writing, we know that the expressive, persuasive, referential, and the last one, which is literary. The first one, expressive, focus on writer. That's I need to explore. I need to discover what the writer knows. What he has already, or what the writer already feels, or what the writer believes through techniques or procedures or techniques, such as classroom, for example, listening. While for persuasive, from its name, the people who are following the writer, I mean, focusing on reader. So reader focusing for something drive or something he drives his attention, something relates to the conflict, something it relates to something vague. He reader interest, what the reader interests, what he's in this, uh, which topic he's interested in. While the third one, which is referential, focus on reality, actually how the writer can explore how the writer can examine reality according to different things. For example, maybe reading, maybe observation, maybe asking, maybe connected with others. So different ways of exploring reality. While the fourth one, which is the last one, which is literary, okay, I need a text. The writer need a text in order to depend on which a type of text, okay, what he's gonna to write in this text. So all these purposes, okay, the writer is supposed to be take these purposes in his considerations and depend on. If you want to go to the stages of writing purposes, okay, the question is writing okay has done or is writing can we do the right okay the any text okay randomly? Of course not. So writing is very hard phenomenon, okay, or or we can it's very hard job, it's very hard work. So we cannot manage it because okay, most of the students now, especially the students okay, who is get about to graduate, they really don't like to write about their paper, a graduate paper. So that's why they are asking, how can we manage this thing? I'm afraid to do such a thing. I have to ask more. I have to check more. So this why we have to start with the planning, because planning it really actually, how can I say, it saves time, saves effort. I make the plan just like brainstorm. It's just like a guy for me. I have to arrange everything before collecting, before starting writing, before doing everything. I have to manage my mind, okay, and put certain strategies in my mind, certain something can guide me, okay. Well, after that I have to drafting. Drafting can be actually a challenge for writers, because factors that relates to the writer's self-image and anxiety about writing can make the writing task overwhelming. That's right. But sometimes most of the writers, when they are writing their papers or their context or their books or sources, actually they miss or they avoid or maybe they ignore certain elements. For example, they ignore the grammatical, and this will be chaos, or maybe they will ignore the audience, okay. So they have to manage all these things together and not forget any elements, because whenever you forget one of these elements, okay, the how can I say, the context will be collapsed totally. The last one, okay, revising. We know that revising is an important part of writing process, and writers always revise whatever they are writing, depending on the comments, depending on the suggestions of the others, the ideas from their friends, from their teachers, supervisors. So after that, yep, I have revising. Revising, yeah. Yeah, I've discussed revising. Yeah, that's right. I discussed them. So let's go to the textual aspects of writing. Textual, if I want to go to the textual, I'm going to put in my mind certain things. For example, just like additional, or maybe textual, or maybe interpersonal. What I mean by intentional, yeah, the meaning of their ideas, their opinions, their points of views, okay, their perspectives, which is perspective, which totally are it's different perspective. While textual, the text itself that helps the readers, the writer, investigate throughout the text, while interpersonal, the relationship that's it's clear, the relationship between the reader, between the writer, the writer and the reader, okay. We have typographical features actually that relates to punctuation marks, maybe font size, or maybe capitalization, italics. So it depends. What discursive features? Actually, discursive features represents by using topicalization or maybe nominalization. Sorry, by use I remember that, okay. Discursive that relates to hedges, okay, it relates to hedges, yeah. For example, when I say it's kind of, it's hedges is something I'm not sure about, it's kind of, it's a sort of, it's maybe, it's probably. So this relate to discursive features, which is uh, hedges. Lexical, okay, to the vocabulary, syntaxis to the grammar, idiomatic knowledge, cohesion. The last two things, okay, cohesion and coherence. The most important elements, okay, supposed to be presented throughout text. Whenever, okay, the text, okay, is not connected together, okay, between the paragraphs and sentences, so the context will the text, okay, will be collapsed totally. So cohesion, coherence, okay, they supposed to be found, okay, in the text. uh Here, if we want to go to the second language writing approaches and issues, one of these approaches control composition, the paragraph pattern approach, the process approach, the general pace approach. So let's start with the first one. So actually, the first one, which is the control composition, it's one of the most important procedures and theories. I mean the approaches, okay, that's used in writing throughout applying research. Actually, it's considered just like as an offshoot of uh, audio lingual technique or method that's used in order to compare between the second language and the first language. It shows how the idea of the language is speech from structural linguistics, or maybe from behaviorist psychology, or even it analyzes, okay, certain errors, or maybe or contrastive analysis as if we've taken before, according to the contrastive analysis, comparing the grammatical structures, for example, between two or more than two languages. Maybe for error analysis, it relates to the counting, locating, categorizing errors. It depends. So while the second one, paragraph pattern approach, this is the second theory, which is very important. Just like the previous one, actually, its emphasis on the organizations. It emphasis on the observations. It emphasis on the importance of the organization at the sentence level. It shows that how the logical construction and the arrangements of discourse forms. It shows how the elements plays an important role, how it's developed. It shows how it shows, okay, how the essays developments, how the structural entities, how the organization patterns or moods, how the contrastive rhetoric. It shows all these things, but the main basic thing that its emphasis on, which is the organizations of the paragraphs and the sentences. If we want to go to the process of the process approach is very important, just like as a recursive or maybe explorative or generative approach, wherein ideas are discovered and meaning made. So here it's emphasis on what? Okay, actually it's emphasis um on the process, on the developments, okay, how the writing is gonna develop, okay, by chapters, by parts, by sentences, how it's getting the ideas will be connected, how the writer getting to check all these things, okay. uh it shows how can I say, so how the, okay, the parts, how the uh subdivided or sub parts, okay, it connected together. So all these uh things, okay, the writer has, okay, has to take it, okay, into consideration, because, okay, if there is no process and development in his writing, so the reader, sorry, will feel boring, and he's no more to keep reading, okay, his context or his paper. So the process approach actually promote research on composing that focus on the person. It focuses on the strategies, okay, that's involved in writing. So according to the genre based approach, actually this genre approach, it actually it refers to what? Okay, to the process approach. Maybe it shows that how the others get criticize or suggest about the right, about the source, about the context. It shows that how the how can I say it, okay, how the understanding the constituents, okay, the parts, the realistic preparation, okay, for academic work, learning about the natures of high stakes academic writing text, maybe giving students, for example, how can I say it, okay, for example, I give students but okay ideas, uh how they gonna to analyze these ideas. So this one, it's very important in English for academic process. In addition to that, the its emphasis on the productions of text, okay, that will be acceptable in English. Of course, in any language, it's not only English. So learning to write is part of becoming socialized into the academic community. So the writer here, its role is pragmatic and interest primary in academic community. Uh, these approaches are very important. Okay, the writer has to take into consideration. He can apply okay, one more than these approaches, okay, and these methods in his paper. While according to the issues, one of these issues actually relate to the politic issues, pragmatic issues, contextual issues, or maybe disciplinary issues. They are different according to pragmatic issues. These are includes, for example, second language, writing progress and program administrations, as well as they including writing conferences and workshops, the use of model text, the use of teachers response, okay, peer tutoring, the use of generalists, so using of different elements. In addition to that, using different types of tests, for example, just like indirect, direct, objective, or maybe text rating or grading that includes rater judgments, or maybe rater training, or maybe even for the maybe variables or factors such as okay, linguistic variables, rhetorical variables. Linguistic variables, for example, just like lexical and syntactic, while rhetorical in different variables that include expectation, maybe key expectation, maybe amount of time. I very important the amount of time we have to focus on nationality, maybe even the even for the how can I say it here, reading comprehension, okay, we have to take it in considerations. Different types that relates to the written English, maybe it relates to the English as second language comprehension, or maybe to the international English language. This one of uh, the test that's used, or maybe to the bilingual education programs, immersion and submersion, or it relates to the cross cultures compositions courses, or intensive language programs. So all these things, okay, it relates to the issues of writing. So the writer okay have to avoid certain issues in order to be on the safe side, and it lets his okay he lets his paper and his context okay more available and validity, and avoid vague words, avoid using expressions, avoid ignoring certain elements. Okay, so with writing as well as okay, it's not important as a spoken, but it's superior than spoken, because whenever I want to check something, I get back and can I get back to it okay more than one twice, okay. So the writing I cannot guess. So my okay, my discussions writing it's more prominent than speech. It's a way, it's considered as a way, as a tool of communication between us. Thank you so much.